Hey guys, Sean Murphy here with Living on the South Shore of Massachusetts. And today I want to take you on a Google Maps tour of Hingham, one of my favorite spots on the South Shore. And it's actually one of our more requested towns when it comes to getting information for people that are relocating to this area. So, what I want to do is show you, of course, where it is on the South Shore, its proximity to Boston, what a commute might look like, its proximity to the Cape, the islands, how you would get there. But then, of course, some parts of the town, some neighborhoods, some of my favorite restaurants, some shopping centers, some of the schools, et cetera, et cetera. What I want to do is give you a much better feel as to what Hingham is like, where certain things are in town, and what it would be like to potentially live here. So if you're thinking about potentially moving to Hingham, or even just want to learn more about the town, stay tuned. This is going to be a really good video for you to watch. So let me get my Google Maps up and I'll show you around. All right, guys, we got our Google Map up now. So you can see what I like to do is start from a far out perspective. So you can kind of see in the grand scheme of things in the state of Massachusetts, where is Hingham? So we are just south of Boston. You can see it here. Let me get my little annotation tools up here. So we're right here outlined in red. You can see the proximity to Boston. So you can see outlined in red here is Hingham. It's kind of at the beginning of the South Shore. So you have Quincy, you have Weymouth, you have Hingham, Hull, Cohasset, Scituate, Marshfield, as you work your way down Duxbury into Plymouth. And that's pretty much all of the South Shore, at least the towns that are right on the coast. Then, of course, you're going all the way down here to the Cape. You've got all of Cape Cod right here. Once you go over the Cape Cod Canal, Nantucket down here, Martha's Vineyard, of course, right there. So in reality, Hingham, really not that far from Boston. You're 13, 14 miles in total. And, you know, for most of you, if you do not live near a big city like this, that sounds pretty close. So you could probably get in pretty quickly. But you got city traffic, got a lot of commuters going in. So it's not quite nearly that short of a drive, but we're going to go through all of that stuff right now. So what I want to show you, Hingham, first and foremost, you'll see the 2020 census. It was about 24,000 people in town. Now, a lot of people moved down from the city during COVID, from 2020 to like 2022. There were a lot of people that moved into town. That being said, that population now is probably around 25,000 people, I would assume. I don't know that exact number, but you're hovering right around it. But what I do want to show you, for those that would potentially be commuting into the city, what the directions look like. Now, this is obviously, you can do this at home, but it's always a good thing to see what a commute might look like and just the commuting options. Bear with me as the computer just loads this up. But you can see now we're going into the downtown part of Boston from the downtown part of Hingham. That right now, it's a Monday at about 10 a.m. Says 40 minutes. So not too bad. During rush hour, this is going to be 45 to an hour typically going in and coming back out. The beauty, though, of living in Hingham is you have multiple options when it comes to commuting. You could drive. Absolutely, totally fine. But you could also take the train. Now, the train, it says right now 55 minutes. The train is typically 45 minutes. This is just because you are outside of commuting rush hour time. But typically it's 45 minutes. And there are two train stations in Hingham that you could pick up this train from, and it is the Greenbush line. The Greenbush line, let me highlight it so you can see it. But the Greenbush line runs right through Hingham. And Hingham, actually, a little known fact, Hingham is the only town on the Greenbush line where the train goes underground. They actually buried it under the town because it was added way after the fact. I think it was about 20 years ago or so that they put this train line in, this Greenbush line. But this goes through Hingham to Cohasset and ends in Scituate. So this is a pretty commonly used way to commute into the city. A lot of people use this, and it's just very, very, very easy. But the third option that you get is the ferry. You can commute from the Hingham shipyard right into Boston on a ferry. Now, I'm going to close this out because Google Maps does not list the ferry as an option right there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So the Hingham Shipyard right here. Let's get back on this this marker tool here. The Hingham Shipyard, the ferry, you can see this line that goes this way. There's also one that goes this way. This one connects into Hull, and the other one is a direct shot into the city. But you can take these ferries, guys. These ferries, especially during the summertime, are the best way to commute. You're looking at 45 minutes to an hour, so it's about the same time as the train. You can park right at the Hingham Shipyard. They do have parking there. You do need to pay for it. It's pretty cheap. It's only like $2 a day, or you can get a monthly pass as well. But you can park right there in the Hingham Shipyard, take the ferry out, and I will show you exactly where that ends up as long as these maps are working with me. There we go. Oh, let's clear those drawings so that they're not just sitting there in the middle of the ocean. But you're going through all of the Boston Harbor Islands, guys, which is actually, it's a really cool ride. You're going right past Logan Airport. And also, you can take this ferry right to Logan if you so choose to. You connect right here, and then you just take a quick little shuttle over to the terminals. It's very easy, especially if you have kids. I've done it before. It's a very easy way to get into the airport from Hingham. But you'll notice, guys, this ferry drops off at 2 points in the city here. Let me zoom in slightly so you can see where this is going. Long Wharf right up here. Now, this is right next to the New England Aquarium. This is right next to the North End. So this is a really good spot that you would probably use outside of just going to work. I've taken my kids into the aquarium, and we've taken the ferry in here. I've taken them to the North End. We've taken the ferry in. It's just a really good way to get into the city. You don't have to deal with parking. It leaves right out of town. So it's a really nice perk to have in town. And a lot of people that live on some of the other South Shore towns will take the ferry. They drive down, park, and take the ferry in. The other spot is over here, Rose Wharf. That's a better spot if you're walking to the seaport. But this is kind of the spot that most people go if they're going into the financial area of this city. So let me zoom back out of here, get back to Hingham. But, regardless of what route you're taking to commute into the city, you're pretty much looking at a similar time frame, 45 minutes to an hour. Obviously, the benefit of a ferry or a train is that you're not dealing with traffic. You don't have to have that unknown kind of going into that commute. All right. So that being said, guys, let me zoom out just a little bit more so you can see the whole town of Hingham. Hingham is very much a north-south town. You'll see there's a good amount of it that is along the coast here, but then it extends really far down, and actually extends all the way down to Route 3 here. 3A is in the northern part of town. That used to be the old 3, that used to be the old highway. You still actually have state troopers that are in charge of 3A because that used to be a highway down there before they built 3. But this town extends pretty far. But what I do want to show you is there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of protected land here, a lot of park land. We have Wampatuck right in town here, which is a very, very popular park for camping, for mountain biking, and just for, walking, hiking, taking dogs out, taking kids out on their bikes. It's a really, really nice spot, and it's huge. I go mountain biking in here a lot. I take my kids here a lot. I take my dog here a lot. It's a really nice spot to have in town. I'm not much of a camper, but I do know that in the summertime, there's a ton of RV traffic going in there. There's a lot of people that take vacations and they take a whole week and they just get a camping spot in there that you can get. You can reserve it, and it's a lot of fun. So Wampatuck, one of my favorite spots. And now that we're talking about parks, which I wasn't planning on doing right now, but we're just going to go with it. We're going to go with it, guys. We also have, let's zoom in a little bit. We also have World's End right over here. Now, this is, to me, the most beautiful park in the area because it is its own little peninsula. You can drive all the way out to it. You park right at the end here, and it is a completely protected piece of land. The town of Hingham holds some events there. The trustees, which is the organization that protects this land, they hold a bunch of events there in the summer as well. It's a really, really nice spot to just go for a walk. Just get out and get into nature. It overlooks, of course, you're up a little higher, so you can see Nantasket Beach. You can see the ocean on this side, and then, of course, you can see the city skyline as well. Little known fact too: this used to be, or was planned to be, a housing development, and they stopped that. They protected it, and then they actually thought about putting the United Nations here. But as we all know, that ended up in New York City. But it's pretty cool what they've done with it. They protected it, and it's, again, a nice little spot to have in the town of Hingham. One other park I will point out to you here is Bear Cove Park. That's another one that's right on the water here. Let me get this tool up. Here we go. Bear Cove Park right here. So part of this is in Weymouth. Majority of it is in Hingham. But again, another great spot to take kids, ride their bikes, take dogs for a walk, or just get outside. This is also right on the Back Bay River area, the Back River area. Back Bay is up in the city, but this is the Back River area. There's also, a bunch of soccer fields and town stuff that is right on the outline, or the outside of this, I should say. Really cool spot, though. So there are a couple of the parks in town. Some other things I'll show you: golf courses. The one public course in town is the South Shore Country Club right here. This is a fantastic little golf course in town that a lot of us play during the summertime. It's completely public. You can get a membership here, so you get preferred tee times. You get, a discounted rate as well, but it's a really nice course to have right in town. Now, there's a couple private clubs as well. You have Black Rock Country Club, and you have Boston Country Club as well. Those are some very, very nice golf courses that are right in Hingham. All right, so now let's show you some. I zoomed out too far. Let's show you some of the shopping areas that we do have in town here. All right, first one I'm going to show you is Derby Street Shops. Now, let's zoom in one more time. Derby Street Shops on the southern part of the town, right next to Route 3 here. But Derby Shops, they have Whole Foods, they have Kohl's, they have Bed and Bath, they have Nike just went in. There's a bunch of restaurants down there, Burton's being one of them. Bertucci's, it's one of the last ones hanging on there. But this is a very, very, very popular spot, especially Whole Foods, just for, people going. There's a Barnes and Noble there. There's a lot of different places, but really nice to have in town. Now, again, if you are in the northern part of town, Whole Foods might be a good. Sorry, my mouse is very sensitive right now. If you're in the northern part of town up here, Whole Foods, that's a good 20-minute drive. So, and that's one thing I didn't mention. So say you live, right downtown Hingham, to get all the way to 3, you're looking at like 15 to 20 minutes. You will shoot down 228 right here, which is the main road that goes up and down, north and south through Hingham. But you're looking at like 15 to 20 minutes to get from the northern end to the southern end of town here. But again, great to have that right in Hingham. If you do live on the northern part of town, you still have other grocery store options. One of them being Stop and Shop. I'll show you where that is. That's right up along 3A. Stop and Shop is right here. Across the street, you have Trader Joe's. And right in the shipyard near Trader Joe's is the Fresh Market. So 3 other grocery store options right there. We'll talk about the Hingham Shipyard in a sec. But then right downtown, you have the one of the original grocery stores in town, the Fruit Center. And that is a, smaller but really, really nice grocery store that it's very popular for people that live in Hingham as well. So, all in all, you have 5 different grocery stores to choose from. So you're not low on options here. Now let's talk about the Hingham Shipyard real quick, now that we're talking about shopping centers. So the Hingham Shipyard, this was developed to be a destination for shoppers, for dining. There's some great restaurants in here. There's a movie theater in here, as I mentioned before. You can also take the ferry, to commute into the city. So the Shipyard gets a lot of traffic just because of all those reasons. It's a great movie theater. It's a little dated. It's not one of your new ones that has the reclining seats and, the heated seats and all that stuff. It's an old school movie theater, but it's a great one. They get all the big time movies. It's really easy to get in and out, and the tickets are actually a little bit cheaper because it's not one of these new, high end, high scaled movie theaters that they just started building out. But you got a Wahlburgers in here. You got a fairly new restaurant called The Beth that opened up right on the water here. So there's a couple restaurants that are right on the water. Especially during the summertime, you're right on that marina there. You got great views, good food, a lot of shops around. It's really just it's a great spot. They did a really good job with it. The last part of the shopping areas that I'll talk about is downtown Hingham. Now, downtown Hingham is very old school. You actually have the original Talbots in downtown Hingham. For those that shop at Talbots, I'm not one of them, but for those that do, it's pretty cool. But then you have some coffee shops. You have one of the few breakfast spots in town called Stars, and they just absolutely crush. It's definitely a town favorite. And that's right on the harbor there. So you got great views of the harbor. But Hingham is a very much a prototypical old school New England downtown. There's a few stores and restaurants on the water, but a lot of it, let me get my marker up. A lot of it extends this way, away from the water. But a lot of shops, a lot of great restaurants, coffee shops, as I mentioned. It's a really nice downtown, and they do a really good job of making sure it's busy, and there's great restaurants and businesses that are opening up down there. One last thing I will show you about the downtown or near the downtown area. If you're into boating, they have a great harbor here. They have a marina downtown. You can get a slip, you can get a buoy. But there is a waiting list for that stuff because this is a very popular area for boating. But if you're into boating, you couldn't be in a better town than this. It's a fantastic spot. The other thing I will show you, Bathing Beach right here. The town has its own little beach. Now, this is a marine or a harbor beach. So it's not an ocean beach. You're not going to get waves. You're not going to get any of that, but it's a great little beach, especially for little kids. They have lifeguards there. They just opened the bathing house at Hingham Bathing Beach, which is run by the same people that own Stars and a couple of the other restaurants in town. So they're putting money into it. The town also has plans to put in a playground down there for kids. So they're putting money into it, trying to make it a little more of a destination than just the bathing beach there. All right. So there's some of the destinations, guys, within town. Now, Hingham, as I mentioned a while ago, we're bordering Weymouth here. On the other side, you've got Hull up here. You've got Cohasset down here, Norwell, as you get away from the water down here. And then Hanover's not far away either, Rockland as well. But like I mentioned, Hingham's one of the bigger towns on the South Shore. And for that reason, they have a bunch of schools. They have 4 elementary schools. They have 1 middle school, and they have 1 high school. Those are all the public schools. They have a bunch of private school options as well. You've got Derby Academy, which again, a private school. You got Notre Dame Academy. So there's a bunch of options when it comes to education for your kids. But the elementary schools, the public school system in Hingham is always ranked as one of the best in Massachusetts. Now I can show you. Let's show you where the elementary schools are. Now, the first one, Foster Elementary, is right here. This school, they are currently rebuilding the entire thing. They are building a brand new school behind this one. So that one is still functioning. It's still in session. They're still using it, but they're building a brand new school right behind it, which is pretty amazing. That school is going to be incredibly nice. So that's one of them. This whole part of town right here. Let's see, there we got this whole town or part of town right here is called Crows Point. So obviously all the kids that live in Crows Point will go to Foster, but then you have a good amount of people living in this little circle area that are also, they'd be going to Foster as well. So that's the first elementary school right there. You'll notice, I don't know if you saw this while we were moving around, Derby Academy is right here. So Derby Academy is just outside of downtown Hingham. this is one of the private options you have in school. It's a fantastic school if you choose to go that route. Now, the other one, we'll go to the next elementary school here, East School. You can see East School Playground. The East School is right here. This is another fantastic elementary school in town. This is the newest one, quote unquote, until the Foster one will be done. But you got East School right here, which serves, pretty much this whole area of town. And then as we scroll through town, we will get to South Elementary School, which is kind of right in the middle of town. This is the third elementary school, second newest one in town, another fantastic facility. And while we're at it, this neighborhood right behind South Elementary here is hugely popular. It's known as Liberty Pole. It is a fantastic, and I mean fantastic, family neighborhood. Trick-or-treating. There's always kids around riding their bikes. Everyone's driving slow. It's mostly very self-contained, so there's only a couple outlets from this neighborhood into town. So there's not a lot of through traffic, which is great. But the huge perk to living here is that these kids can just ride their bikes. They can walk to school. It's a really, really, really popular spot for families with young kids because it's just that perk of being able to walk to school in a very safe, quiet little neighborhood is really nice. So there's South Elementary. And the last one here, guys, is Plymouth River Elementary School. So you'll see that right there. So you can see the proximity to the south. They're actually pretty close to each other. But this, once Foster is done, this will be the oldest facility in town, but it is the next one up for getting redone, which they do have plans on doing that eventually. But again, 4 elementary schools. So it's a big town in regards to how they split all this up, but the town does a great job with this. And then, once these kids all go to middle school, it's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Middle school is right here. So middle school is kind of at the southern end of town. It's right near Notre Dame Academy, which is right here. Well, let me get my marker up. Notre Dame Academy is right here. Hingham Middle School right here. The middle school is a fantastic facility. And again, that's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade will go there. Now, let's get to where the high school is. So the high school is in a very central part, a very central location of town. Now, I want to show you real quick the satellite image so you can kind of get an idea of the facility that they have here. It is unbelievably nice. So the Hingham High School right here. You got one parking lot in the front here, another student parking lot down here. Let me get my marker up so you can see what I'm doing. Student parking down here. But this is the main field that they play a lot of their varsity sports on, some of the JV sports, if it is open. It's a very, very nice turf field. They have huge stands right on this side. They have the visiting stands on this side, but you get really good crowds, guys. This is a town that's has a lot of pride in their high school, a lot of pride in their town sports. It's really fun. I bring my girls to these games all the time, and they're young and they love going to them. They love seeing, the student section, the cheerleaders, all the stuff that's going on. There's kids running around everywhere. It's a really good spot. But the facilities here, you can see all the fields that they have. These tennis courts are actually being rebuilt right now. But they have all of these practice fields down here and across the street. You got your baseball diamond, right here. You got your softball team, a diamond right here. Field hockey plays on this field right here. It's a really nice facility. Again, the town pride in the high school and the high school sports is really special. Now, for those hockey players or hockey families that might be watching this, your town rink, let me zoom out a little bit, is just on the southern end of town. This is not owned by the town. It's not owned by the school. All right. So remember where I showed you Derby Street Shops right over here? The hockey rink is right over by the Derby Shops. So let me zoom in a little bit. One more zoom. Here we go. Pilgrim Skating Arena. This is where Hingham High School plays all their ice hockey games. So unlike most towns on the South Shore do not have a hockey rink in town. So, a lot of teams will use this hockey rink, but we're lucky enough to have this right in town. This is used, again, by the Hingham High School teams, a lot of the club teams in the area. Really nice hockey rink. All right, so guys, hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of, just the area of Hingham, how big it really is, the school systems that are in town as well. Now, just to point out before we go, let me just type in Hingham, Mass one last time so you can see the outline of the town. There we go. Now, again, you've got multiple towns nearby. You got Weymouth, you have Hull over here, Nantasket Beach, which I should mention. Nantasket Beach is the beach destination for most people that live in Hingham. This is a humongous beach. Let me go to the satellite so you can see it. Now, you can see how long this beach is. This is the go-to beach for people that live in Hingham during the summertime. It's a great beach. It gets great waves. This is kind of the surfing destination for the area. I surf there. A bunch of my buddies, we'll surf there in the summertime, even in the wintertime if we're feeling crazy. But this is the beach destination. It's really nice. Gets a big crowd from Hingham, big crowd from Hull as well, and some of the other towns nearby. But just wanted to point that out, that if that's something you're looking for, this beach is fantastic, and it's right. You're thinking, depending on where you live in Hingham, this is a 5 to 15-minute drive. Pretty easy. There we go. So guys, real quick, last thing I'm going to point out, just some neighborhoods. So we talked about Crow Point, right, which is up here. Crow Point and really World's End, this part of World's End, not the the protected park area, but the point leading up to it. Those are really your two big areas for coastal water view homes in Hingham. A majority of Hingham is south of the water. So if you're looking for a water view, if you're looking to be on the water, those are your two spots. Now, those are obviously fantastic neighborhoods, but there's rarely any new builds in there. Everything is built on, of course, it's New England, so people will buy properties, tear the houses down, build brand new ones. But there are some fantastic homes to be had in both of these neighborhoods with incredible views. And this ranges anywhere from 750 to 800 if you're looking kind of on the lower end, all the way up to 6, 7, potentially $8 million at the very, very extreme high end. So the prices range drastically in these areas depending on if you're on the water, what kind of view you have on the water, how big the home is, if it's new, if it's old, et cetera, et cetera. But those are two fantastic neighborhoods if you're looking to be on the water. Now, I talked about Liberty Pole, which is right down here, Liberty Pole, right behind South Elementary. But I would, if I spend all the time going through all these neighborhoods, we're going to run out, or this video is going to end up being 40 minutes long, which is too much. But there's a lot of small little neighborhoods, small little parts to town that people love. A lot of the residents here are young families. So you'll have little quiet streets, little dead end streets. There's a lot of dead end cul-de-sac neighborhoods as well, that you'll drive down and see kids riding their bikes, playing games out in the street, basketball, stickball, whatever. If kids are still playing stickball, I don't know, but guys, there's a lot of little neighborhoods in this town that I'll do another video so you can really see those. But I cannot give you enough good things to say about the town of Hingham. Fantastic town to raise kids in. The schools are great. The proximity to Boston is great. The commute. And last thing I'll show you is just its proximity to the Cape. I think I kind of went over this a little bit in the beginning, but just to show you where we are. So we're at the beginning of the South Shore, essentially. And here's Cape Cod. Now I will let's just go to Hyannis on Cape Cod, because that will, that's kind of middle of the Cape. It's also where the ferry goes out of for Nantucket. There's a ferry that also goes out of there to Martha's Vineyard, but the easier way to get to Martha's Vineyard is going all the way down to Falmouth. Down here, if you go to Falmouth, there's a quicker ferry. Obviously, look at the proximity to Martha's Vineyard that goes to Oak Bluffs or even Edgartown. But to Hyannis, we're looking at an hour and 4 minutes. Again, that's in the end of November on a Monday. So if you're thinking summertime, that's hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on when you leave. But if you leave Friday afternoon going out to the Cape, good luck. That's a tough drive. You're looking at a a 2 to 3 hour drive, just depending on traffic, and then coming back on Sunday, same thing. So if you time it right, it's really not that bad of a trip. But Cape Cod, I mean, nothing's better in the summertime than Cape Cod and the islands. They are gorgeous, gorgeous spots to spend a week, to spend a vacation, or even to spend the whole summer if you so choose. But I just want to show you that proximity to that part of Massachusetts as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. So guys, that is Hingham, Massachusetts. Any questions, put them in the comments below. My contact info is below this video as well. All I wanted to do is give you a better perspective on what Hingham is like, some of the things in town. But if you need more details, if you want to learn more about the town, if you're thinking about moving here, schedule a Zoom call below. We can get on a Zoom call. We can have a good chat about what you're looking for, or I can just answer any questions that you might have about potentially moving to Hingham, Massachusetts. Now, stay tuned. I'll be doing a lot more of these for some of the other towns on the South Shore. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you see when these new videos pop up. And hopefully, I'll talk to you soon.